Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back with another Sister Wives season 16 review. This is part one of the tell-alls, the one-on-ones, the whatever they want to call it. And I'm letting you all know. I'm already starting off wrong. I'm letting you all know that Cody pissed me off the entire thing. Like the entire thing. Like pissed me off. He did. The way that he reacted to Suki when she called him out, the way he deflected whenever the truth was brought out, it's like, I'm going to deflect and make sure that you don't know that you're really onto me and you're right. So I'm going to change the subject and act like it's something else when really the problem is me. He's a flippin' creep. And as we watch the way this show played out, I understand why the ladies maneuvered the way that they did. We know that the adults are there to meet Suki one-on-one. I don't like the way that they did this episode because there were things that Cody said and there were things that Robyn said that I feel like we should have seen a response to, but we didn't get to see it. As a reminder, just you all, remember, this was filmed summer of 2020 to, I believe, like maybe January, February of 2021. This has been a difficult season to watch. But for the first time, I feel like wives are beginning to be honest about the way the family was and the way that their kids have been treated. So we are reminded by Suki via voiceover as the family is preparing of the strain that the move has created for them, that the fractures are starting to happen, that marriages other than Meri's is suffering. And all of this was before the pandemic. So now the culture has changed. The family isn't familying. And the problem, in my opinion, starts and ends with the bald eagle. I feel like he's failed his kids. I feel like he's failed his wives. I feel like he's failed his entire family. So we begin the episode seeing the various adults getting ready to meet up for filming. I especially love seeing Janelle sitting in the car with that roller in the front of her bang. Because that's reality and that's what I want to see. And might I add that Janelle with no makeup is gorgeous. Janelle used to be my favorite. Let me not say used to be. Her and Christine are still my faves. I'll say that. But over the years, there are things that the both of them have said and done that I may not necessarily agree with. But despite that, I can say that I have always felt like out of all the wives, and it's not to compare them, but I'm just telling my thing. I've always thought that Janelle was one of the most gorgeous women. She's just beautiful. She's naturally beautiful. So seeing her in the car without the makeup on and her little roller, it tickled me. And I was like, oh, that girl is beautiful. But back to the subject. So we start off the episode with Janelle and Suki, and we know it's going to be a heavy scene. Janelle talks about the distance of the family and what it was like even before the pandemic. We get a clip of the conversation where Janelle forced the adults to go to that restaurant and sit down and have a talk about the state of their family because of what they lost. She said at that point, they were not seeing each other a lot. And part of that was because they got to a place where they realized that they didn't really need each other. The kids were older. The situation was different. They weren't as close as they had previously been. We then have the bald eagle who says over time what he realized is that what they had is a situation where there was a lot of dishonesty, that they were together when they needed to be, but once they got to Flagstaff, that things changed because it didn't require as much of each other. He said the ladies started to do what they wanted to do because they were running their own households and because it's obvious that he wasn't over there as much, so they could do what they wanted to do. We hear how Christine felt like everyone hated her and that the family gatherings would become a hostile environment because no one likes her. Now, a lot of the women were shocked by this, but the Bird in particular said that she didn't like the word hostile and she doesn't like that Christine felt hated, and she wanted to make sure in that moment that she didn't feel hated, which is why she spoke up the way that she did. Looking at things now, it's obviously that she was hated. If the bird's 5-year-old daughter can sit here now, we're being told in season 19 by Cody, by the bald eagle himself, that Ariella stated that she hated Christine and that she didn't like her. If a child is saying that, imagine how the parents of that child probably responded or acted towards Christine at various points. So, what's the difference between Christine saying hostile and Robyn saying unsafe? Because Robyn, the bird brown, it would come out. Likes to act like these family gatherings are so unsafe for herself and her kids. But when Christine is sitting here saying something, verbiage may be different, wordage may be different, but she's saying something similar as to how the energy felt off to her. It's not okay for Christine to say that. And her feelings really don't matter because the bird doesn't agree with it. Janelle says she couldn't get why Christine said that because Christine is so vibrant and she is the life and the party. So she was just really surprised that she felt like that. And I feel like one of the reasons why she felt like that is because Christine stopped being the person that she was meant to be in terms of the family. It was said in the book, and Cody has even said it, that Christine provided joy. She broke up some of the issues that were going on. So her role was supposed to be the peacemaker. And Christine got to the point where she was tired of being that. And she knew if she wasn't that for him, that it would later be a problem. She saw what that looked like in Meri's marriage when she wasn't just doing everything and saying everything that he wanted to. Christine says this is the type of conversation that she had with herself often about them, not liking her and things of that nature. And she felt that because Janelle called this meeting, that Janelle deserved the truth. And I appreciated the truth as a viewer. I appreciate that Christine, out of all the wives, has always seemed to be more honest about the things that went on with her. She says, they didn't reach out to me. I also didn't reach out to them. Cody and I were having such a hard time, and it's just how I felt. We were having a rough time, so it was what I felt. Meri says she can get that. She's been in that place before herself. She tried to reach out to Christine to tell her that she's been there, but Christine didn't really respond. I don't blame Christine for not responding. You all don't have that dynamic. And Meri, you've played around so much before with Christine and her feelings when she's tried to talk to you based on how you're feeling, where you tell her to work on herself and all those other things that time after you messed up your knee. And I think that you're just not a safe space for Christine. Like, you're literally not a safe space. I'm not just using the words because that's what the Browns do. It's been evident to me that Meri isn't safe for Christine. Christine says she felt like they could work through it, but she realized over time, like in that moment with her and Cody, that they weren't going to be able to because all the pandemic did was separate them in more ways. The subject of the pandemic then comes up and the protocols are discussed by the bald eagle. And we're reminded through the clips that the family was not on the same page. Bald eagle says his biggest concern was keeping his kids alive, was keeping his family alive. Maybe some of the rules that they had, the protocols, were too strict, but he didn't have time for what ifs, and he did it on the advice of the physician. We already know that he went to an extreme. I had people up here saying that they, were in a situation and they couldn't talk to doctors, and there are actual physicians and nurses and things of that nature who said, look, at that time, that was the last thing they were doing, which was having personal calls about the situation. Doctors were referring to the same rules that the CDC was specifying. Now, there may have been some that told a little bit of additional information. I know when I go to my child's doctor about certain things, there are some things that he will suggest to me that maybe is not suggested by others. That comes with the territory. But they were too busy saving lives to just worry about the bald eagle and his feather crew. All right. So he said that, he, on the advice of the physician, he had one wife, the bird, that immediately told her kids that they're going to follow these rules. They need their father. But he also had two other wives. No shock, he's not including Meri at all. He doesn't even try to hide the fact that he doesn't include Meri, because he doesn't bring up Meri in this moment. He literally said he had two other wives. One was mostly compliant, but couldn't keep her kids compliant. And then he had another one, Christine, that wasn't compliant to the protocols at all. Christine was compliant. She just wasn't compliant to his protocols. And he shouldn't say it all, because there were certain things up there that she was doing. The CDC protocols and the bald eagles were different. And he didn't even follow his own protocols. So he's sitting there acting like Christine was just this pariah, like she was out there and she was going to the mall. She was being so defiant and she was doing all this stuff that she shouldn't do. When what Christine was really doing was Christine was doing the same stuff they were going, with the exception of seeing her kids and making sure her daughter had surgery and checking in. He says she wanted to be free. Christina's like, look, it was unrealistic for me not to go anywhere. I have kids at everywhere. They're not just in Flagstaff. And I was not about to stay home. If my kids needed me, I was going to go. Christine's life has been her kids. They have been what have kept her going. I think a lot of the moms, the kids kept them going, because Cody obviously didn't. Despite me not being one of those people who was all over the place, I get exactly what Christine is saying in that moment, because there were times where I legitimately needed to lay eyes on my family. I needed to see them. They needed to see me. So to knock someone for spending time with their loved ones when really that's all you had during the pandemic sounds real inconsiderate to me. It sounds like Cody isn't thinking about anybody else but himself and his desires, because he couldn't go away and visit people like he wanted to because his bird wouldn't let him. Christine is like, bottom line is basically, well, she didn't say bottom line, I'm saying it. Christine's like, look, he would love it if we chose what he chose. I followed the CDC's protocols, not Cody's. Bald Eagle then tries to bring up Truly again and her kidney failure and how she nearly died and how that changed him and Christine. I would have loved for producers then to show us Christine's response to it, because he said it before. He said this on multiple occasions. I think this is the second or third time he said it, and production still hasn't shown a response from Christine. Why? Is it because you're still trying to protect the bald eagle? Because I don't think that's what broke them. Instead, we see Suki like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but we saw other fractures this year between you and Christine. Basically, like, you can sit there and talk about Truly if you want to, but this isn't about Truly. Let's focus on what is rather than what was and what you're trying to feed me. You then have the bird. You know, it's such a tough... like, I feel so torn by the situation. I feel so torn by the situation. I just, I understand what Cody was wanting to do, and I understand what Janelle and Christine were about, but that it's, but it's that, at the same time, I was like, why couldn't we have meshed those two, mesh the two of them? I just felt like we were destroying the culture. Is she freaking kidding me? She is the one who, whenever they mentioned getting together on film, she was questioning it. Get it out, girl. Questioning it. She even said, are you sure that's safe? Are you sure that's safe? Are you sure that's a good idea? Are you guys sure that it's a good idea that, if we get together and stuff, are you sure it's a good idea, Janelle? Like, you trust that? You think we could do that? So don't sit here now, Bird, and try to act like you thought that there should be a middle ground, because you didn't. We then get another show. We got another show from the Bird. Dang on, I don't have my tissue. It's all right. I'll improvise. Hold on. God, I hate crying. Suki's like, no. Hold on. Can I get a tissue? For what tears? Suki, let her cry. Let her actually shed some tears. I want to see what will happen if she's not provided with the tissue to act like she's wiping something. Let her cry. She has the tissue. Dang it, I don't have no tissue. She has the tissue. It's just that, it's just. I keep seeing how my face looks. Sorry. I gotta focus. It's just painful. It's just painful because it it's just painful because it felt like, the family group, and the unity and the stuff, it got thrown out the window because of a virus. The Bird is that virus. She's the bird flu. Does she really believe that crap? That everything got thrown out of the window because of a virus? It really surprised me and shocked me. It really, it's just really been disturbing. Suki's looking at her and she's like, okay, well, is it disturbing because of that? Because there was already, some issues there. And it was. And then the Bird admits, okay, yeah, like we were kind of shoving some stuff under the rug, and then eventually it got shown. So then why are you later playing dumb when it comes to Christine leaving the Bald Eagle, when it comes to Janelle leaving the Bald Eagle, when it comes to Meri having difficulties with the Bald Eagle? And why are you acting like you don't understand how they got to this point when you're sitting here telling us that a lot of stuff was brushed under the rug? But even with saying all of that and knowing all of this dummy thinks that they can fix it. So on to the subject of loneliness. All of the clips, I can't help but notice, that are talking about this loneliness only involve the OG3. We do not see the Bird in the clips. Telling, isn't it? So the OG3 are saying how they've learned that over time, not being around each other, not seeing each other makes it easier because they're not having to work on stuff. Janelle says that at one point she found herself mourning it. And she doesn't want to say the word mourn, but that's what it was for her because she was extremely sad that everyone is choosing something different. She's basically assessing the state of her family. Meri admits that Cody and her don't have a relationship where he even checks on her. Janelle says things may have been strained with Meri and Cody, but hearing Meri say that if she were to get the virus, that she wouldn't have anybody to take care of her, that she wouldn't have anybody, it did something to her. She would hope that, if something like that were to happen to Meri, that if Meri needed her, that she would call her. He says, because even though her and Cody are having their problems, Meri's still choosing to be a part of this family. Interesting. Meri's choosing to be a part of the family, not because we're still family. Janelle is always careful with her words. Christine says, my heart aches for Meri. And seeing what she's gone through, I don't want that. It's not a future that I want, which is why she left. We talk about the catfish thing again. Why? Because they still aren't being honest about it. Meri thinks that her and Cody were in love at first sight. Well, not first sight. They were in love in the beginning. Then Janelle came in. It was a struggle. She was jealous. She didn't know how to handle it. Christine then comes in. She struggles with that too. But Christine coming into the family, she says, was actually harder for her. She says she doesn't know why it was so hard. She doesn't know why it was such a struggle for her, but it was. But in the book, she admits that Cody and Christine enjoyed each other. They had a lighter relationship. They were more playful. Janelle and Cody were more cerebral. She didn't have to compete with that. She didn't have to worry about the affection and all that other stuff. But she saw something in Christine that basically in her mind made her look at Christine as competition. Then Robyn comes in. She had a relationship with Cody at first, she says. It's presented to Cody, and Cody tells Suki that there's nothing to talk about at this point when it comes to Meri. After what they went through, he doesn't want it. Suki's like, okay, well then why don't you leave her? And Cody says it's a double standard. They can leave whenever they want. I can't. And this is where I went on a little tangent. Follow me here. Because I'm currently reading a book, Shattered Dreams by Irene Spencer. Good book. I can't pronounce half of the words in it. But it's a good read. Seriously, it is. Shameless plug. And one of the things that I'm realizing from this, along with other books, is that the system of polygamy, the foundation that it seems to be built upon, in my opinion, is always about the advancement of the men. It is always about putting the power in the husband's hands, even if that means that you handicap the younger ones by sending them off to work for you and to make sure that you have funds and letting these old men go and marrying them. The men are favored, and the men get to determine when a woman is called upon when they go off to that next level, right? He can't divorce them, but apparently, in my opinion, he can mistreat them and isolate them and withhold intimacy from them. And he can financially abuse them and abuse them emotionally. He can say he's not attracted to them, neglect their needs, neglect their kids and their kids' needs, call them as wives unattractive, talk about the fact that they've gained weight and they have stretch marks. He can use them for his number, to expand his kingdom, to not love them, but to lay with them, to get them pregnant and have lots of kids so he can keep building on that kingdom. These ladies are used. These ladies' sole purpose is for these men. Cody's women were used. His children were used. He created this dynamic. He didn't treat the wives fairly. He didn't treat the kids fairly. And he has openly admitted over the years that he favors some more than others. So yeah, there's a double standard. And there's also a lot of hypocrisy too. So if you're going to call it out, Cody, call it out. Suki's like, no, it's not double. Because emotionally, you have left and you have abandoned them in some ways, right? She says this in such a calm manner, but Cody doesn't like that she pointed out the truth. He's like, well, abandoned, please. Take that word back. This is how he's talking to her. He's pointing to her and take that word back because I take offense to that word abandonment. When Meri had an affair, she was leaving my ass. Because she was like, I'm done with this and I'm done with you and I'm done. She made it clear to everybody that she was getting out of there. She was done with us and she can't admit that now. Meri, This is when I need you to come to the table, honey, and I need you to be honest. And I need you to say how he treated you. And you say, yeah, I was going to leave his bald-headed ass because the man hasn't touched me in years. And you say, yeah, I was going to believe because he had one, what? This is what I get. I'm sitting here reading how I went on. Because once he had his bird, he did what a lot of these guys do, and he stopped caring. He stopped acting. He said, we protected her when she realized that she was dumped. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not dumped. Duped. Well, she was dumped. She was leaving me for a richer man. Even in that moment, Cody is showing his hand because he's upset that she dared to leave him. He didn't want her, but he didn't want her to leave either because since he believes this, he needs her for his number. He says Meri sees herself as a victim and she thinks she's done nothing wrong. And I agree with it. I hate to agree with him, but I agree. That is the problem that I have with Meri. I don't have a problem with Meri trying to find happiness. I have a problem with the way that she did it, the way that she went around about it, and the way that she lied about it. Because to this day, Meri has not taken ownership. And I've listened to those calls and I heard the things that she said. And Meri very much so was in love with the idea of Sam. Meri very much so was ready to leave him. And I feel like if she was really, really honest, and I've said this before, with us as the viewers, if she was really, really honest with her child, if she was really, really honest with some of the wives, they would have understood a lot more. And I know a lot of fans would have been more tolerant of her because we would have understood the struggle that she had been going through and the way that this man has emotionally neglected her for years. Meri says she thought that she had the most honest conversation with him. But how could you think that when you're still not being honest and you're still saying that you weren't leaving? Your conversation wasn't honest. She claims, I wasn't leaving. When everything had gone down and the way things were transpiring, I basically just considered every option. I personally think she was going to leave. Y'all tell me below what you think. She says a lot of people, looked at the catfish situation and felt that that was the defining moment between Cody and I, but it wasn't. It was a moment for him. Excuse me, because he used it as a moment. He wanted out and he didn't have the balls to do it. And Meri doing the catfish gave him the justification to, on national television, move the way that he moved. They talk about their 30th anniversary, how she's been waiting and how he's not coming, that she's trying to stay with him, and his faith and his conscience won't allow him to discuss the divorce, even though we know that that's what he wants. And we get to see him backtrack by saying one thing and then saying, but there's always a chance that we may get back together in full fellowship. And then in another moment, he says something else. In my opinion, there's always a chance that the bald eagle is playing games because he's not going to fellowship with her unless she's making him Rice Krispie treats, unless she's cooking, unless she's doing something that's what he wants to do. She's only going to get the right arm of fellowship that you get in church. A handshake and a little bit of conversation and some food. That's going to be Meri's fellowship. Meri, despite all his crap, still wants him and is committed to him. She loves him, she says, and she prays and meditates and asks for guidance. And whenever she does that, she feels peace when she thinks about staying in the family. I'm glad that that's not my situation. I'm glad that when I do that, for the most part, there's some things that may be revealed to me. There's some actions that someone will take. But I'm glad that in my situation, I wasn't told to say. That's not what I was told. I was told to go. I was shown to go because his actions let me know that I needed to go because the changes that I required were not going to be made in order to make sure that we were going to be great. Cody says she's still a part of the plural family, but I'm not ever going to be conjugal with her because I'm not going through that torture. Meri. Ooh, just got an eyelash in my eye. Meri, I don't see, woo, how you could look back at that and not see that that man didn't want you. I don't see how you can't see it. He just said it would be torture to be conjugal with you, to get emotionally involved with you again, to have intimacy with you. That's what he was talking about, would be torture. He says, if we weren't religiously bound to stay together, I think things would have been different a long time ago. We keep the best relationship we can. And I'm not telling her to kick rocks. I'm just telling her that she's still a part of the family and we can work this out. I'm telling her what she wants to hear. That's what he's saying. I'm telling her what she needs to hear. I'm not going to tell her to kick rocks, even though that's what I want to tell her. I can't tell her that. So I'm just going to tell her what she wants to hear. He has absolutely no intentions of being with her. Meri admits that she misses the emotional intimacy in certain conversations with him. She misses the physical intimacy with him. She would even love if he would hold her hand. And that's when I was like, she's begging for a handhold. There are times where I'm in church and there's someone beside me that I don't know, and I hold their hand. I've held complete strangers' hands. She's over here desiring for him to hold her hand. I hold my fur baby's hand. He holds mine to the point where he'll like nudge me to make sure that my hand is on his hand. He's very demanding of me sometimes. But I'm just saying, that's my fur baby. What is wrong? Then Meri lets me know all that I need to know when she says she has not been intimate. Intimacy for her is not just the act. Intimacy for her is holding hands, laying in the bed together, having certain conversations, all those things. I get it, because intimacy for me, you can get a lot of intimacy from a talk. You can, from being vulnerable with each other. That layer of vulnerability creates intimacy. She hasn't had any layers of vulnerability with him in over a decade. In over a decade, Meri has not been intimate. Over a decade. How long has Robyn been in the family at this point? 2021 is when they're having this conversation. Well, no, maybe 2022, I don't know. But it's at least 2021, which means Robyn has been in the family for over a decade. So that means that Robyn came into the picture and either intimacy stopped or intimacy stopped before Robyn came into the picture. And then it changed things. Today I was reading, I was pre-recording for the book Shattered Dreams. And one of the things that was said that was like an epiphany to me was how the women are expected to go out and to get these wives. Now, I knew that before, but she put a better context to it, because she basically said, without giving too much of it away, is that with that situation, the goal was to make sure that the husband had what he needed in order to get to that next level. So it was the wife's job to make sure she helped him get what he needed. And by helping him getting what he needed, it would help her basically have favor. Which is why I think Meri did this in the first place. She thought by helping Cody get what he needed and wanted, which was another wife, that it would give her favor and that he would love her more. So when she legally divorced him so that he could marry Robyn, I think she thought it would get him favor. Which is why Cody later says that in seasons past. He claims that this stuff, the divorce was done to adopt the kids. She claims that it was her idea. I still don't believe it, because I still think that he wanted that divorce because he was done with Meri, and he wanted to do so in a way that wouldn't make him get in trouble with the church. Because for this man to be against divorce, to be so against it, for it to be just not, it's not a part of his belief system, he didn't hesitate to divorce Meri. He couldn't get that done fast enough. He couldn't wait to hire an attorney and have the conversations. And then on the day of the divorce, when she was sitting there with Robyn next to him, I still don't think Robyn should have been in there, but whatever. When he was sitting there with Robyn next to him and Meri was crying, he was looking at her like she was crazy for even crying about it, because it's just a paper. When really inside, he was so excited about it. He was excited that they went and snuck off and got married by themselves. He then tells us that he'll never feel safe again intimately with Meri, which means he'll never again be intimate with her, because we already saw him in last episode with the clip from a flashback tell Nancy in front of Christine that he can be intimate with her unless she had a better relationship with her sister wives, and that he felt a sense of betrayal, and he felt unsafe, and he can't be with somebody if he doesn't feel safe. It's crazy. He doesn't think, because Suki's like, is that enough for y'all to just be friends? It's like, we won't be intimate, but will we be friends? And Suki's like, is that enough for y'all to just be friends? And he's like, for some people it's not. But, some people have made their choice. In other words, for me, it wouldn't be okay, but it's fine, because I got a wife that I can lay with. I can land in that crumpled cookie anytime I want to. I can do that whenever I want to. Now, whatever they do, that's what they do. But for me, I'm fine, because I have Robyn. Meri is going to stick around. She says it. For her family. And when she said it, I said, Meri would have never left this man if he didn't flat out in season 18 tell her to go. She was still holding on. She would have still kept holding on. So now we're seeing a different version of Meri, where Meri is upset and Meri is saying some things and Meri is revealing things. The best thing Meri could do at this point is write a book. Meri, write a book. I'm about to go on her Instagram and put that up there. Meri, please write a book. I might put it on a couple of posts. She might block me though. Okay. I'm going to put it on one. I'm going to put it on her most recent post. I'm going to say, Meri, please write a tell-all book. Please. We're waiting for it. Because if Meri does that, Meri will gain the upper hand. It's time. Because he doesn't like to be humiliated, and he doesn't want his truth. Y'all, do I got a white ring for my chapstick and y'all didn't tell me? I feel like I do. Walking around here with crusty mouth. Anyway. I feel like I do. Anyway. Meri, reveal his truth. I'm rambling. Y'all, let me know what you thought of this tell-all. I try to make it as entertaining as possible, because the tell-alls are a bunch of what we already know. So there's probably more me than them in it, but y'all get it. If I left something out, as I said earlier, please put it down below. If you've been watching and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. We're growing over here, baby. And we are on the road to 2,000, and I plan on getting there sooner than later. Thank you to each and every one of you for your time. Until next time.